as a player. You hear all of this positivity. So I wanted to know from the fan base, do you believe that Dak Prescott can get back to what he was in 2021? And then the other part of the question inherently with Dak, just like it was with Romo, is that good enough?
Well, I hope he can come back and be as good as he was. I mean, that was a major injury with the break and the medial ligament, the damage there that hopefully he can come back from and have no effects. He's worked his butt off to be where he's at right now. So hopefully he can come back and be as good. Can he be better? I think he has to be because of how bad this defense is right now.
Yes.
I think he's good enough. So I want to make this clear. I think he's good enough, but not good enough with what he has as a complete team. He does have good wide receivers, very good wide receivers. I think he has an okay to solid offensive line still. He has an average running back. He has a nice combination of two running backs. So he has that in place to be successful as an offensive quarterback. He has a horrible defense right now.
Yes.
And I don't think it's going to make big leaps and bounds in the first year. I don't think 7 rookies are going to take us to the promised land on the defensive side of the ball, or second-year players who didn't prove a lot in their first year. So he's good enough maybe over time if the Cowboys, if all these rookies and second-year guys improve to where they're in their second and third year. But right now, he has to be as good as Patrick Mahomes to really take this team deep, because to me, he's going to have to score a touchdown most possessions for this team to be as successful as I think Cowboy fans want them to be.
From the 806, I think he will come back and be where he was. He's definitely good enough to win, but I agree that the defense needs to be average, which, let's face it, would be quite a step up for this defense. From the 817, doesn't need to be what he was, needs to be better. From the 432, y'all can't put it all on Dak. There is no I in team. Talk about the defense. But that's the thing, is like we talk about the defense all of the time. And
I think I just did, right?
Yeah,
I'm saying he has to be,
yes,
with this bad a defense, he has to become better than or as good as Patrick Mahomes.
And that's why, because that's one of the things you can at least hope for. I'll tell you this. I have way more hope of Dak carrying this team than the defense. And I think that's what we talk about it. Like, if you ask me, what are the chances that the defense carries this team? 0 is my answer. If you ask me, what are the chances that the offense and Dak are able to carry this team? Well, then I absolutely believe, I guess logic would dictate that I would have to say 100%. Like, that's where the hope is. And let's face it, that's where the focus is, because that's where the contract is. You don't have to like it. And I know Coop brought this up once in terms of KP, is like, it's a shame people focus so much on the money, but that's what happens in sports, right? Especially capped sports. You're only allowed so much money, and the person who gets the bulk of the money is going to be the quarterback, and he's going to get the bulk of the credit or the blame, sometimes when he doesn't deserve it, and sometimes when he does. Like, that's the thing, is this season is going to be a reflection on Dak Prescott, fair or not. Think about some of those Romo seasons when our defense was freaking awful. It's still reflected back on him.
Yeah.
Even if it wasn't fair, because it gets focused on the quarterback. Even when our defense was trash, there were still people who were like, because Tony Romo can't get the job done.
So, looking back at last year, I'm looking at play-by-play situations from the games that we ended up making close, and the miracle of beating the Falcons.
Yes.
Is the Cowboys never played with the lead, even though Dak put up all those awesome numbers, right? I mean, they were losing pretty much to the Rams. It was a very close game, the first game, but they lose 20-17. There's not like a lot of offense there for the Cowboys to brag about. They score 17 points in opening game. Then they score 40, but remember, they're down pretty much 29-10, and they're having to make a miracle comeback, and they did. And then they're down 30-15 against Seattle, and they have to try to make a comeback. They end up not. They lose 38-31. But offensively, what great numbers from Dak Prescott. But when you watch, and I know that this is tough to do, and this isn't fair, right? Because Patrick Mahomes, most likely, unless he gets hurt, is going to go down as one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. But can you put together 4 possessions in a row of 28 points? Like, where you're like, my God, we can't stop them, right? Like, you're just like, that's what Patrick Mahomes can do. He can hit you in 4 straight possessions with 4 straight touchdowns, and you're like, what the hell are we supposed to do now? And so you look at Cleveland, you had to make a major comeback there. You still lose by 11. New York, you're having to make a comeback. You do make a comeback in the end and win 37-34. And so I just look at it and go, Dak was great numbers-wise in those games, 500 yards against Cleveland. But when you remember that game, a lot of that comes like, well, we're down by close to 20 points, and now you have to score a touchdown every time, and he kind of does, There are turnovers in these games too, and we have to stop them from scoring at this point, which is not happening. You don't stop Cleveland. You don't stop Seattle. You kind of stop Atlanta, I guess, enough. Obviously, getting a onside kick is really what happened there. But I just look at it and go, can you start a game? And this isn't fair. I'm going to put this is not fair. But I do think this is what Dak has to do to put us into, like, are we a true contender, like a Super Bowl NFC contender? Can you put up 24 points in the first half of all these games? Because then you'll be leading. Because I'm assuming we're going to give up close to 20 at half of most games.
Yeah, and then the pace will slow down in the second half because I don't think the defense is going to be so bad that it would give up 40 points a game, but 30 points a game, of course
I just think they are going to be that bad. My opinion, and I hope I'm wrong, is I think this defense is going to be so bad that you're going to ask Dak to have to put up 33 to 40 points a game. If you want to win 12, like 12-5, I think a lot of people predicting this. I think Gavin Dawson is predicting 12 to 14 wins. And I think that's going to be very hard to do, especially because if you're doing that, you're going to have to be the best offense in the NFL with this bad of a defense. And I think Dak's good enough, but the defense has to improve over time, that you're not asking Dak to be the greatest quarterback in the history of football.